Today we will look at the Babylonian Talmud and the everyday Talmud. We will do a review by reading it ourselves and come to our own conclusions of it, because there are many naysayers out there that say it's an accursed book, and the reason why we have certain evil organized religions stemming from it, and it'll bring on the Antichrist and all this other stuff. So we're going to read it, get to understand it better, get to know it. And this is the new edition of the Babylonian Talmud. Original text edited, corrected, formulated and translated into English by Michael L. Rodkinson. Section Jurisprudence, Damages, tracts about fathers of the synagogue with Aboth of R. Nathan, Derek Eretz, Rabba and Zutra. Revised by the Reverend Mr. Godfrey Shajar Taub Ben House, Rabbi Kong Beth Elohim, Brooklyn. It must be the Congregation of Beth Elohim, Brooklyn. Volume 1-9. Explanatory remarks. In this translation, these authors have adopted these principles. 1. Tinan of the original, they have learned in the Mishnah. Tania, they have learned in a Baraitha. Itima, it was taught. 2. Questions are indicated by the interrogation point and are immediately followed by the answers without being so marked. 3. When in the original there occur two statements separated by the phrase Lishna Akrina or Walbaith Aima or Ikha de Amri, literally otherwise interpreted, they translate only the second. 4. As the pages of the original are indicated in the new Hebrew edition, it is not deemed necessary to mark them in the English edition, this being only a translation from the latter. 5. Words or passages enclosed in round parenthesis denote the explanation rendered by Rashi, it's a older respected rabbi, to the foregoing sentence or word. Square parenthesis contain commentaries by authorities of the last period of construction of the Gemara. And this is dedicated to His Excellency, the well-known philanthropist who warmly espouses the cause of Judaism and its literature, Baron Edmund de Rothschild, probably of the feared Rothschilds, the bankers, the powers, etc. that these conspiracy theorists go on about. This volume is most respectfully inscribed by the editor and translator Michael L. Rodkinson, New York, Purim 5660, March 15th, 1900. Introduction to section Jurisprudence. With the present volume we begin the section Damages, also called Jurisprudence, from the occurrence of discussions on criminal law. This section forms the fourth in the old edition and comprises the following treatises: First Gate, Middle Gate, Last Gate, Sanhedrin, Stripes, Oaths, Testimonies, Idolatry, Fathers or Ethics of the Fathers of the Synagogue, and Decisions. It just came to mind, to our thought, that probably with Jews, the Jewish religion, you'd probably have to learn more than just reading this book. There'd be lots and lots and lots of other things you'd probably have to learn, scrolls you'd have to read, and lectures, etc. that you'd have to attend for years and years to fully understand it. It may not be as easy to read it with a Western mindset and understand it fully. Okay, again, with the present volume we begin the section Damages, also called Jurisprudence, from the occurrence of discussions on criminal law. This section forms the fourth in the old edition and comprises the following treatises: First Gate, Middle Gate, Last Gate, Sanhedrin, Stripes, Oaths, Fathers of the synagogue, with testimonies, idolatry, fathers or ethics of the fathers of the synagogue, and decisions. Notwithstanding the fact that in the last old edition of the Talmud, fathers stands next to the last tract, we have placed it at the head of the section, or they have placed it at the head of the section, relying upon the decision of Sharira Gaon in his letter, Goldberg edition, May 1872, page 40, declaring that it is perfectly permissible to change the order of sequence of tracts in the several sections. Therefore, because the treatise entitled Fathers deals entirely with the ethics of life, these writers just deemed it best to give it precedence over the other treatises. Just as in the Pentateuch, they found the Ten Commandments the basis of all ethical religion, heading the subsequent detailed laws and ordinances, so it seems but fit that the section damages should be headed by the tract setting forth the main ethical principles and be continued by the detailed discussions. And they are further borne out by the Talmud itself, which reads, First Gate, Chapter 3, Mishnah 3, one who wishes to be pious should observe the laws of damages. Rab Hina said he should observe the teachings of the fathers. Rab Hina's statement should, in our opinion, not be taken literally, but as indicative of the opinion that the decisions contained both in fathers and in damages generally are equivalent. Fathers is one of the few treatises which consist of Mishnah only, for example, has no supplementary Gemara either in the Babylonian or the Palestinian Talmud, although interspersed throughout the contents of the entire Talmud may be found amplifications or comments on some of the sentences of the fathers. There is, however, a Tosafta entitled Fathers of Rabbi Nathan, which discusses most sentences of the original fathers separately. In fact, begins the discussion of each sentence with the interrogation, how so? Forming, therefore, a valuable addition to the much valued literature of the fathers. These writers have considered it their duty to incorporate it in their edition, and they have therefore inserted the said Tosefta in the place where in other tracts they have placed the Gemara. Owing to the fact that the Tosefta named above bears the name of Rabbi Nathan of Babylon, one of the most distinguished masters of his generation, but at the same time contains ethics similar to those of the Mishnah, as well as lectures and discussions which could not have been compiled by their author and are evidently contributions from scholars of a later period. The historians of modern times, from Zuns in his Goten Dienstlicher Vortrage to Brill in his Jahrbucher and Weiss in his Dor Vedoshof, engage in elaborate speculation as to who was the compiler of the Fathers of our Nathan and at what time it was compiled. The complicated nature of the Tosefta in question brought to the front a number of commentators and text revisers. And finally, Solomon Tausik and Solomon Schechter made a search of manuscripts and published new editions of the Tosefta with additions from the material found in the manuscripts. The latter, in fact, searched so thoroughly that he found an entirely different version of the Tosefta and then published in his second edition two separate texts, calling them first text and second text respectively, with his own corrections, notes and a long introduction, Vienna 1887. True to the writer's methods of translating the Talmud, they had however ignored the new versions of Fathers of Rabbi Nathan and had merely adapted the old version which forms part of the Talmud, simply adhering to the corrections made by Elias Vilna and the commentaries of Joshua Falk and others contained in the Great Vilna 1890 edition of the Talmud. Further, in accordance with their want, they have omitted such of the passages as have already appeared in the preceding tracts of their edition, merely indicating the places where they can be found. Wherever necessary, of course, they've added footnotes, remarks, etc. Their reasons for not making use of the new versions of the Tosefta in question are as follows. In a previous article touching upon the subject, which appeared in their publication, Hakol, they had pointed out that they could not give preference to recently discovered manuscripts, and probably at the time of them writing this, putting this together, over those used by the compilers of the Talmud, and for a reason that is perfectly obvious, is if those manuscripts were in existence during the construction period of the Talmud, the compilers, who sifted every manuscript with the utmost care, undoubtedly rejected them as valueless. If, on the other hand, they were at the time not in existence, but were written at a later period, they certainly cannot be used as a medium for correcting the antedating manuscripts. As for Schechter's revised and corrected text, these writers could not accept them for the reasons that he presumes to remark anent Elias Vilna's corrections. I do not favour them, or they are unnecessary. After careful investigation, these writers had, however, found that almost all the corrections made by Elias Vilna and adopted by them were founded directly on Talmudical and Midrashic passages scattered throughout the Talmud, a fact the learned Dr. Schechter no doubt overlooked. On the other hand, these writers found that the commentaries published in the above-mentioned Vilna edition and credited to Joshua Falk, Chaim Joseph David Azulay, and Baruch Frankel Theomim are referred directly to passages of the Talmud in these several treatises. Therefore, these writers had used the well-known authorities in their translation, eliminating merely their lengthy discussions and adductions of proof. As to the origin of the sayings of the fathers of Rabbi Nathan, the period during which they were compiled, and other historical events attending their conception, they refrained from rendering their opinion, even though it had become customary to do this in an introduction, leaving those matters to the philologists and historians in whose province such discussions properly fall. The writer's sole reason for the translation is that the said sayings have never before been rendered into any modern language, and without them their work would not be complete. The Fathers of Rabbi Nathan contains in the original 41 chapters. As these writers render them, however, in the form of a Gemara to the Mishnah of Fathers, they have not numbered the chapters, but merely indicated at the foot of the page to which chapters each paragraph belongs. Regarding the translation of Fathers, for example, the original Mishnah in the first 5 chapters, these writers, these compilers, had found that the translation of C. Taylor, Cambridge, 1877, was entirely too literal and almost incomprehensible without footnotes and commentaries. It was really hard to read and understand, to make sense of without the footnotes and commentaries. On the other hand, the partial translation contained in the Home Prayer Book, compiled in the main by Dr. G. Gotthuel and Dr. F. D. Sola Mendes, is lucid and in accord with the original text. These writers had therefore made use of the latter rendition with slight change, or these compilers. The part remaining untranslated in the prayer book they have adapted from C. Taylor's version, rendering it somewhat more comprehensively. In the rendition of the 6th chapter, which does not really form part of the Mishnah, but is added by the sages in Mishnaic language, these have followed Taylor, making numerous notes and corrections in order to make it intelligible to the lay reader, or everyday reader. They have not deemed it necessary to add a commentary to the Fathers as they did to tracts Shekalim and Ebel Rabathi, because the forefathers had been translated into all modern languages, or has been translated into all modern languages, and because there is already considerable literature concerning the ethics of Judaism, especially the recent publication that was done by Professor D. M. Lazarus, entitled Ethik des Judentums, as admirable work, issued at Leipzig, 1899, and giving a masterly exposition of the philosophical tendencies of fathers. These writers, or these authors, have also devoted a special chapter to the subject in their forthcoming history of the Talmud. They have also thought it well to give in this volume, which treats exclusively of the ethics of Judaism, the 2 tracts Derek Eretz, Rabbah and Zuta, which contain the essential rules of conduct of life, as construed by Dr. Miozina, or Worldly Affairs, as named by these writers or authors, which latter is the prevailing interpretation among Hebrew readers. As to the origin of these two tracts, elaborate discussions may be found in Zuhn's Gottesdienstliche, not too sure on the last word, Gottesdienstliche Vorträge, paragraph 110-112, as well as in der Talmud, Trakt direkt Eres, Sutta Christik Bearbeitet, etc., etc., Berlin, 1885, by Abraham Torogi. For Torogi's reasons for not translating Derek Eretz Rabbah, says work, nevertheless, inasmuch as Derek Eretz Rabbah has never been translated into any language, and of Derek Eretz Zuta, while there is a critical translation into German, there is none in English. In order to make this volume, which treats of the ethics of Judaism, complete, these writers or authors, have considered it expedient to translate into English both tracts almost literally, although they are not counted among the 37 treatises proper of the Babylonian Talmud, but only among the minor treatises added to them. These authors did not, however, deem it necessary to add any commentary, for the reason that the sayings are very plain and lucid and can easily be understood even by those who are not students of the Talmud. Because of the similarity in language and style of these two treatises, and of the so-called Mishnah of the 6th chapter of Aboth, they appear in the same large type as the Mishnah. Following this treatise will be published the other tracts of this section in the regular sequence of the old edition. The editor and translator, New York, March 1900. Synopsis of subjects of Tract Aboth, Fathers of the Synagogue. Several requests had been received by the translator that an index should be made to the volumes of the Talmud, as is customary with all modern works. It would be an utter impossibility to give a complete index of everything contained in the Talmud. Were it like other scientific works which treat each subject separately, this could easily be done, but with the Talmud it is different. On one page, many different subjects may be discussed, and again a single subject may occupy several pages. The Talmud, therefore, has never had an index. After careful examination of the volumes, page by page, it has been decided to make a synopsis. For example, to give briefly the heads of the discussions and conversations upon each Mishnah, indicating the page where the Mishnah is to be found, and the Gemara of each, which serves as a commentary. By this, the reader should be able to refer to what he desires to know. A synopsis is therefore given of every Mishnah which discusses a single subject, with its accompanying Gemara in this volume, the Tosefta. But when several short Mishnahs cover the same subject, a single synopsis is given of the whole, including the Gemara of each one. And where a chapter is short, a synopsis of the whole chapter is made, without dividing it into Mishnahs. This is the best that can be done, and it is hoped that readers will find it satisfactory. Chapter 1, Mishnah A. The Great Assembly originated 3 maxims. B. Deliberate in judgment. How so? The books of Proverbs, Song of Songs, and Ecclesiastes were hidden. How was Adam created? Why was Adam created on the last hour of the 6th day? Or, if you know about the original Tab Asheret, square script, Lishana Atika Sapreya, sacred scribal language of God, the old tongue of God that he spoke to Adam and Eve. In the Garden of Eden, the word is Iyuma, which means immeasurable period, unfathomable period, eon, age, era, or day with capital D. But this possibly being the Hebrew, or some form of Jewish language, may be using the word Yom for day, as in day of the week. Therefore, hence they put the 6th day. On the same day on which he was formed, on the very same day his countenance was created. According to others, he's got a sticker over that, or something. It's ERATE. Probably be separate. We're not too sure what that actually says. Somebody's put a sticker over it and then uploaded it. Be separate in judgment means not to have an irascible manner, or maybe it's be moderate. Could be moderate in judgment, which means not to have an irascible manner. Erect safeguards for the law, the safeguard of the Lord, of Adam the first, the legend about Eve and the serpent, etc. The 10 curses with which Eve was cursed at that time. Shall I and my cattle eat out of the same trough? The tradition about the ox of Adam, the steer of Noah, and the ram sacrificed by Abraham. 1 to 11. Yeah, it looks like somebody's deliberately put a piece of sticky tape or band-aid or something on there so you can't know what that word is for some reason. Don't know why. So we're guessing it's be moderate in judgment. Yeah, it looks like it. We're not too sure. Maybe there's another version that'll verify that for us. Continuation of chapter 2 of Tosefta. It's got all these different continuations of chapters in the Mishnah, etc. There's a lot of explanation there. What it's all about. What it contains. Okay, there's more here. I'm not going to go through all of that. You can do it in your own time if you get hold of this particular copy of the Babylonian Talmud. Hypnosis of subjects of tract or tract, Derek, Eretz, Rabbah and Zuta. Rabbah chapter 2. Of the Sadducees, common informers, the wicked, the hypocrites, the heretics, the scripture says, etc. Of the terrifying, the overbearing, the haughty, the barefaced, and of those who develop only their muscular strength, the scripture says, etc. Of evil thinkers, storytellers, talebearers, smooth-tongued persons, the scripture says, etc. Who assaults his neighbour in private and who insults him in public, etc. Who forestals fruit, raises the prices, diminishes the measure, accepts payment in large-sized shekels only, and who lives on usury. The following leaves no inheritance in their children, etc. The conceited, the slanderers, and those who indulge in obscene language, who are wise in their own eyes, etc. Who lets his young son marry an older woman, and who marries off his daughter to an old man, and who bestows favours upon those who are unworthy, etc. And so forth and so forth. Yeah. That's probably what it contains in that chapter or that tract. Yeah, you need some more detailing the chapters. Zuta chapters 1 to 4, 5 to 9, the chapter on peace. Although evil decrees are enacted one after another against Israel, still they endure forever. Probably talking about Israel goes on forever. Or maybe it's talking about, yeah, it looks like it's talking about Israel. They grin their teeth and bear it, and they endure forever. Seek peace at the place where you are, and if you do not find it, seek it in other places. All manner of lying is prohibited or unallowed, except it be to make peace between one and his neighbour. Great is peace, and that the covenant of the priests, with this agreement, this promise made of the priest was made with peace. When the Messiah shall come to Israel, he will begin with peace. So it means it's about a Messiah, but it's probably a different Messiah that they're looking at, not Jesus the Christ, or Jesus of Nazareth, maybe. Great is peace, in that all the benedictions and prayers are concluded with peace. He who loves peace runs after peace, offers peace, and answers peace. The Holy One, etc. 31 to 34. Tract Aboth. Fathers of the Synagogue, Ethics, Chapter 1. Mishnah A. Moses received the law on Sinai, Mount Sinai, and delivered it to Joshua. Joshua in turn handed it down to the elders, not to the 70 elders of Moses' time, but to the later elders who have ruled Israel, and each of them delivered it to his successor. From the elders it descended to the prophets, beginning with Eli and Samuel, or Eli, and Samuel, and each of them delivered it to his successors until it reached the men of the great assembly. The last name originating 3 maxims: be not hasty in judgment. Maybe that's what that was, with that band-aid or that piece of whatever covering it. It was not hasty. Be not hasty in judgment, bring up many disciples, and erect safeguards for the law. Tosefata Aboth of Nathan. Maybe that's Rabbi Nathan. Moses was sanctified in the cloud and received the Torah, the book of instructions, from Sinai, as it is written, Exodus 24:16. And the glory of the Lord abode upon Mount Sinai, which means on Moses. For what purpose? To purify him. This occurred after the 10 commandments had been given. So says Jose the Galilean. Akiba, however, says it is written, and the cloud covered it 6 days. This refers to the mountain before the 10 commandments had been given, and this is what is written further on. And he called unto Moses the 7th day out of the cloud. For what purpose? Only to confer honour upon him. Said Nathan, or Rabbi Nathan, why did Moses stay the entire 6 days? Okay, so here it has a footnote indication, and underneath it says chapter 1 of the original, probably of the original Tosefta Aboth. Okay, what does that say before that? Said Nathan, maybe it's Rabbi Nathan, why did Moses stay the entire 6 days without communication from the Shekinah? To cleanse his body of all the food and drink it contained, that he might be like angels at the time of his consecration. Said Rabbi Matthias be Hirish to him, Rabbi, all this stated above was done only to overawe him, that he might receive the words of the Torah with awe, terror, fear, and trembling, as it is written. Psalms 2:11. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. It happened that Rabbi Josiah and Rabbi Matthias be Hirish were both sitting and studying the law. Rabbi Josiah then departed to attend to worldly affairs. Said Rabbi Matthias to him, Rabbi, what doest thou gain by forsaking? What do you gain by forsaking the words of the living God and devoting yourself to worldly affairs? Even though you are my master and I'm your disciple, I dare to say that it's not right to do so. Lest one say that Rabbi Josiah did so from jealousy. It was said while sitting and studying the Torah they were jealous of each other, but when they parted they were like friends from youth. Through Moses the Torah was given on Sinai, and as it is written, Deuteronomy 5:19, and he wrote them on 2 tables of stone, and he gave them unto me. Who's talking here? Probably Joshua. And he wrote them on 2 tables of stone, and he gave them unto me. And also Leviticus 26:46. These are the statutes and ordinances and laws which the Lord made between him and the children of Israel on Mount Sinai by the hand of Moses. The law which the Holy One, blessed be He, has given to Israel was given only in the hand of Moses, as it is written, Exodus 31:17, between me, maybe Joshua there, and the children of Israel. So Moses, because of his purification and sanctification, was privileged to be the representative of Israel before the Lord. Moses offered the ram of consecration. It's probably a ram of sacrifice, holiness, and prepared the oil of anointment, and anointed therewith Aaron and his sons during all the 7 days of consecration. With the same oil, high priests and kings were afterward anointed, and Eleazar burned the first red cow, with the ashes of which the unclean were purified in later generations. Said Eliezer, the oil of anointment was of such importance that it remained even for the later generations. For Aaron and his sons were consecrated with the oil of anointment, as it is written, Exodus 30:30. And Aaron and his sons shalt thou anoint, or you shall anoint them, and consecrate them to be priests. Hence we see that although Aaron was a high priest, his sons nevertheless stood in need of anointment. Joshua received it, the law, from Moses, as it is written, Numbers 27:20. And you shall put some of the greatness upon him, in order that all the congregation of the children of Israel may be obedient. The elders who lived after Moses received it from Joshua, as it is written, Judges 2:7. And the people served the Lord all the days of Joshua, and all the days of the elders that lived many days after Joshua, who had seen all the great deeds of the Lord, which he had done for Israel. The judges received it from the elders, as is written, Ruth 1:1. And it came to pass in the days when the judges judged. There's a footnote indication there. Look at this bottom one. The Talmud infers this from the two words Shefot, Hashoftim, which literally mean that the judges were judged. Hence, who have judged the judges? The elders. The elders who lived after Moses received from Joshua, etc., and all the days of the elders that lived many days after Joshua, who had seen all the great deeds of the Lord, which he had done for Israel. The judges received it from the elders, as is written, Ruth 1:1, and it came to pass in the days when the judges judged. The prophets received it from the judges, beginning with Samuel the prophet, who was also a judge, as it is written, Jeremiah 7:25. And I sent unto you all my servants, the prophets. Maybe that's God talking to somebody. Sending them daily in the morning early. And this is talking about Samuel. There's Samuel there speaking. Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi received it from the prophets. The men of the great assembly received it from Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi, or Malachi, and they said the following three things mentioned in the Mishnah. Then again, that could be the word that they covered there, right? Because they had the 8 right on the end of it. With that band-aid. Be deliberate in judgment. Yeah, that's probably what it was. Yeah, we realise that's probably exactly what that was. Deliberate. The word deliberate. How so? It means a man shall be slow in his judgment, for he who is slow is deliberate, as it is written. Proverbs 25:1. Also, these are the Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, the king of Judah, have collected. They have not collected them, but they were deliberating upon them before making them public, or available to the people, I guess. Abba Saul, however, said not only were they deliberating over them, but they also explained them. Formerly it was said the books of Proverbs, Song of Songs, and Ecclesiastes were hidden because they are only parables and do not belong to the hagiographa, the men of the great assembly. However, came and explained them as it is written, Proverbs 7:7-20. And I beheld, I looked among the simple ones, I discerned among the youths a lad void of sense. He detected, he noticed among the youths a lad, he was like concerned, right? Void of sense, etc. And look, a woman came to meet him with the attire of a harlot, or a promiscuous woman, dressed like a prostitute, right? And obdurate of heart. She is noisy and ungovernable. In her house her feet never rest. So she was cunning, right? She's tricky. She had this wickedness in her heart, probably. At one time she is even in the street, at another in the open places, and near every corner she lurks. And she caught hold of him and kissed him, and with an impudent face she says to him, I had bound myself to bring peace offerings. This day I have paid my vows, therefore I am come forth to meet you, to seek thy presence diligently, and I have found you. With tapestry coverings have I decked my bed, with embroidered coverlets of the fine linen of Egypt. So yeah, this woman had wicked intentions, wicked ideas in her mind, okay, which in this Hebrew, this Jewish sense means, it's often referred to as heart in English, Americanized English translations, etc. But it really means, as in the Aramaic, it's talking about the mind, because the heart is just a muscle which helps to pump blood around the body and so forth. It doesn't have a mind. It can't think for itself. A lot of times it's used metaphorically, allegorically, etc. I have sprinkled my couch with myrrh, aloes and cinnamon. All these fancy spices, right? And it smells great. Come on, let us indulge in love until the morning. Let us deliver ourselves with dalliances. For the man is not in his house. Her husband is not in the house, right? Or whoever. He has gone on a journey by a great way off, so he's like far, far away. He won't be back till next week or something like that. The bag of money he's taking with him. He's taking a bag of money with him. And by the day of the new moon festival, it's usually the first of the month, every month, only will he come home. Yeah, that's when he'll return. And it's written also in Song of Songs 7, 12, 13. Come, my friend, let us go into the field. Let us spend the night in the villages. Let us get up early to the vineyards. Let us see if the wine's blossomed, the wine's ready to drink, whether the young grape has opened to view, whether the pomegranate have budded. They'll give my caress unto thee. So maybe they're going to frolic amongst the flowers or something. And it is written again, have some wine and frolic amongst the flowers and do some stuff there. And it is written again, Ecclesiastes 11:9, rejoice, O young man, in thy childhood, and let thy heart cheer thee in the days of thy youthful vigour, and walk firmly in the ways of thy heart, and in the direction which thy eyes see. But know you that concerning all these things God will bring thee into judgment. So if you're doing all this wickedness, unrighteousness, it's going to come back on you. You're going to get consequences and be under the curse, the wrath of God, right? Just be aware of that, he's saying. And again in Song of Songs, verse 17, I am my friends, and towards me is a desire. So we see that the last mentioned passage of the Song of Songs explains all that was mentioned above. Under the term my friends, the Lord is understood. Well, it's probably talking about that dark lady from Kedar, or wherever she was from, that was stating that she's, Solomon's her lover, all that sort of stuff, and she wanted to do this, she wanted to do that. Similar sort of thing. Well, it's coming from the Song of Songs, isn't it? Hence it is sure that they were not only deliberating, but also explaining those texts, etc. According to others, or these statements, according to others, a statement, being deliberate in judgment, means to teach that one shall be careful with his words, and also not to have an irascible manner against those who have received his words. For one who is easily provoked or angered by those who have received his words often forgets his original words. For so we may find with Moses, our master, who had forgotten his original words. You get all angry and all flustered, and you can't remember what the hell you said, and and you're all stuck for words, just like the example we just gave. You've forgotten what your writings, etc. have said. Completely lost for words, right? So we find with Moses, our master, who had forgotten his original words. See Pesachim, page 129. Resh Lakish is said, etc. And where do we find that Moses was irascible with his hearers? It is written, Numbers 31:14, and Moses was wroth, so he's pretty angry, pretty upset. Have you allowed all the females to live? And it is written, Ibid 16, behold, well, look, take note, through the counsel of Balaam. How so? Infer from this that this was the advice of Balaam given to Balak. These people, your enemies, are hungry for food and are thirsty for drink, as they have nothing but manna. Go and put up tents for them, place in them food and drink, and seat in them beautiful women, daughters of nobles, so that the people may turn to Baal Peor. This will be given in Sanhedrin in detail. Now from this we may draw a fortiori conclusion. What does that mean? That's maybe a solid conclusion or something, or fortified. I'm not too sure. That looks like Italian, so it might be a fortiori conclusion. A solid conclusion. Moses, our master, the wisest of the wise and the father of the prophets, at the time he became angry at his listeners, forgot his original words. So much the more would we commoners. From this we should learn how necessary it is to be careful and not irascible. Yes, it's like a Jewish rule or precept that says, now don't embarrass another Jew, because the blood rushes to his face, and supposedly it's compared to murder. You basically killed that guy with shame. So it's something you're not supposed to do, one Jew to another. Ben Azai says, be careful in the words that thy hearers shall not err through them. Yeah, words supposedly give off a frequency, etc., etc. We just came across that the other day. Ben Azai says, be careful in thy words that thy hearers shall not err through them, because they may take them one of two ways. And erect safeguards for the law. That means that one shall make a safeguard to his words as the Holy One, blessed be he, has done. Adam, the first made one to his, the Torah, the first human being made that came into his presence, was under him, etc., etc. The Torah made one to its words. Moses and Job likewise made safeguards to their words, and so also the prophets and hagiographers have all made safeguards to their words. The safeguard that the Holy One, blessed be he, made is this: Deuteronomy 29:23. Even all the nations will say, wherefore hath the Lord done thus unto this land? Okay, he's saying, like, so where's the evidence the Lord God has done this to this land? This is coming from all the non-Jews, the Gentiles, etc., the pagans, the heathens, asking that question. Infer from this that it was known beforehand to him, by whose one word the universe was created. The uncreated creator. He spoke and it came into existence. That the future generations will ask this. Therefore he said to Moses, write the answer for the future generation. Ibid 24:25. Then shall men say, because they have forsaken the covenant of the Lord, etc. That's the agreement between them and the Lord, or what God has made an agreement, etc. He's made with them or their people, their descendants, and they went and served other gods. Yeah, they turned their back on him and bowed down to them, gods which they knew not, and which he had not assigned unto them. Because he did say in 10 Commandments, thou shalt have no other gods before me, for I am a jealous God, and you've got to worship him and him alone. That was directly to the house of Israel, the Israelites. But they wanted to rebel. They didn't want him telling them what to do. They didn't like his authority. They didn't want someone ruling over them. So they took on everybody else's gods, pagan gods, heathen gods. And then God said to them, right, Chris, you've turned your back on me and broken all these commandments. I said, don't worship any other gods. Just worship me. I'm the Lord your God, who pulled you out of Israel, out of Egypt, freed you from there, liberated you from your oppressors, etc. And you did this. So I'm going to bring these foreigners in. They're going to invade your territory. They're going to take you captive, make you slaves, and you'll be under their yoke for so many years. And he's basically saying, well, after a period, I'll forgive you, you come back to me, and then we'll start all over again. So they did that, and then they freed them. So they realised, oh yeah, we need to turn back to our God. We've done him injustice, and then all was good until they did it again. Worship, they turned their back on him, rebelled, worshipped other heathen gods, other foreigners and foreign lands gods, etc., etc. So they went through the same process again until God got sick of it. He says, right, that's it. This is going to happen to you. You're going to be under my wrath. You're going to be near wiped out. And then he hands it over to the Judeans. Okay, you are the people that I've chosen to obey my commandments, do this, do that. And then they did the same thing as the Israelites. Were forgiven. They did it again. They did it again. They did it again. Until God got fed up with that, and he said, right, I'm going to send in these foreigners, be it the Assyrians or Babylonians, and they're going to kick your butt and take you into slavery, and you're going to be under their yoke for so many years. You'll come back after 10 years of cursing, whatever, be under my curse, whatever, and it'll be all good. You'll turn back to me, whatever. And that's what they did. But then they started to do it, the same thing over again, like the Israelites, until he got sick of it. Basically said, right, that's it. I'm going to send these people in. to invade you, take you captive, make you their slaves, near wipe you out. Yeah, but it didn't mean that these Christians throughout the ages, the Roman Christians or any other Christians in there saying that the Jews lost their right of being chosen by God, etc., etc. They messed up. So no, we are the chosen. That's a load of phooey. Okay, even ask a Jewish a practitioner, and they'll tell you that's a load of phooey. Okay. Okay, so Adam, the first safeguards to his word was thus, Genesis 2, 16, 17. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but don't touch the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. You shall not eat it, for on that day that you do, okay, you'll die. You'd probably die not only the spiritual death, being severed, no longer in the presence of God, ousted out, and you'll die a physical death. We see then that Adam did not want to give Eve the exact words he received, but he added, Ibid 3:3, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die, in order that they should take care even not to touch the tree. So he's added to it, right? Because they were originally told, don't touch it, don't eat of it. But Adam's here has added, don't even look at it. Don't even touch it, basically. And don't eat it. So he's added to it. At that time, they should take care even not to touch the tree. At that time, the wicked serpent said to him, as it is impossible for me to make Adam stumble, for he himself received the words directly from God, right? I'll make Eve stumble, because she was like made from Adam, right? So he must have thought, well, okay, I can trick her. He sat by her and had a long conversation with her. He said to her, you say that the Holy One, blessed be He, has forbidden you to touch that tree. See, I'm touching it and I'll not die. And the same will occur with you. You can touch it, you won't die. Alright? Because Adam had added those words. Don't touch it. You don't go near it, don't touch it, and then don't eat it. And so he did. He arose and shook the tree, the serpent, with his hands and feet till the fruit fell down. According to others, the serpent did not actually touch the tree at all, because as soon as the tree saw the serpent, it stopped him and said, a tree actually spoke, "O wicked one, do not touch me, as it is written, Psalms 36:12, let not come against me the foot of pride, and let not the hand of the wicked chase me off." Another explanation of the above passage is that it has referred to Titus, who beckoned with his hand and struck the altar, saying, looks like that's in Greek, "Wolf, thou art a king, and I am a king, come and engage with me in battle. How many oxen were slaughtered upon thee? How many heads of birds were pinched off on thee? How many messes of wine were poured upon thee? How much incense of spices was burned upon thee? Thou art the one who destroys the whole world, as is written." Isaiah 29:1. Woe to Ariel, the town where David dwelt. Add ye year to year, let the festivals come round in order. The serpent said again to her, Eve, if you say that the Holy One, blessed be He, told you are forbidden to eat off that tree, or eat that fruit off the tree, see, I eat it, and I didn't die. And you can do the same, and you won't die. So Eve said to herself, the injunctions of my master are unfounded. Okay, well, God said that if I touch it, or Adam said if I touch it, and if I eat it, I'll die. Okay, so this serpent ate it, and he didn't die. Nothing happened to him. So, God must have got it wrong. She then herself ate the fruit and gave it to Adam, and he too ate, as it is written, Genesis 3:6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, etc. With 10 curses was Eve cursed at that time, as it is written, Ibid 16, until the woman, he said, I will greatly... Okay, so basically God said, okay, because you've sinned, they played the blame game first. The serpent beguiled me, or the wife beguiled me, so I ate it, and the wife goes, it was that serpent, so they played the blame game. So to the woman God said, I'll greatly multiply your birth pains and the suffering of thy bearing children, bring forth children. In pain, they'll come forth, the children will come forth, and then you'll want to cling to your husband. He shall be your desire, and he shall rule over you. Okay, he shall be the authority figure over you. Okay, he's the head over you. He'll be the head of you. He'll be in charge.